Hey, been a long time, hasn't it? But decided to get back into it and start doing a little more filming. New name for the channel, and we'll see where all this goes. But today is wash day for the 392. Just getting used to a new setup here with the DJI Osmo. And I thought, well, you know what? Why not just kind of take you guys through the process of washing a Jeep, because there is an order that works best, and there's some equipment that will make your life a whole lot easier that I want to talk about as well. If you don't have that, you can go and pick up. So we just got back from 5 days and 4 nights in the back country, the high country that is, out in the Eastern Sierra, but not on the eastern side. We actually went in from the western side, 30 some odd miles, I would say, back. Drove, I don't know, probably the northwestern side of the lake, and then from there went on dirt roads, fire service roads, forest service roads. Just kept going all the way back as far as we could get. So probably another, I don't know, 5 to 10 miles, I guess, or so. But anyway, so the Jeep's pretty dirty, and so I just thought, well, hey, you know what? I'm gonna wash it. Why not take you guys along? And the goal is just to start doing more content for the channel. It's gonna be more ad-libbed, more kind of just winging it, and as opposed to, you know, spending all the time composing the shots and getting behind the computer for hours, days. It feels like it's like the biggest, fastest way to get burned out on YouTube, and I've done it countless times. So anyways, new channel, Aviators Off-Road and Grind, and flying, jeeping, camping, and just the grind of life. So come along, hope you enjoy it. Okay, so check this out. One of the things that makes the biggest difference in the world, believe it or not, is the hose. So I actually have a specific hose that I like to use. It's covered in fabric. You can get them at Lowe's, and inside is a clear plastic tube. It's definitely not like your typical hose that you might be used to. The reason I like these is because they don't go to what I call this catatonic state, where your traditional hose from yesteryear, enough sun exposure, it just kind of gets this, real stiffness to it, and then trying to do anything with it, extend it out, whatever, and then they just constantly kink. These don't kink, which is why I like them. They seem to last a lot longer without the whole typical UV issue that you get with the other ones, where they just start to crack and get hard and hard to manage and all that. So as you can see, this thing it's been out in the sun for years, actually, probably 3 years. It works great. The only issue I have with them is they work best with a roller. Okay, when you roll them up, if you just try to loop them over like a handle or something like that, when you try to undo them, it sucks. Other than that, great hose. Okay, just basic essentials for washing. I've got obviously just a bucket, sort of like a microfiber towel, but in a mitt. Okay, but for the hard to reach places, I like to use a brush, and I like the bristles to be super soft, almost like a microfiber on the end, and then I don't press really hard, because you can get a ton of little micro scratches and whatnot that you'll see in the sunlight and whatnot. I like to use a name brand soap, and this in particular is Rain-X High Foaming Car Wash. AutoZone, O'Reilly's, places like that, they have a good one. Good ones. I try to stay away from the Palmolive and the kind of stuff that you use in the house, although Dawn dishwasher detergent, it works really good. That stuff, though, you really want to be careful. It tends to be a little bit stronger, and so typically just prefer to dilute that stuff. So, but anyway, follow the instructions on it, and by all means, this isn't like the be-all, end-all how to wash your car. There's plenty of better ideas out there. I'm constantly learning, so if you guys have better ways to do things, I want to hear about it too. So totally open to that. If you wouldn't mind, just leave comments and just say, hey, this works better, or this is how I like to do it. Okay, last but certainly not least, this is what I like to say is probably the most important piece of the puzzle, and that's the pressure washer. Now, a lot of caution goes into the advice of using pressure washers. You're delivering just an absolutely incredible amount of force onto your paint. And it will, depending on how close you have the nozzle, you can actually pull paint. I've seen it happen. So it's not good, all right? But what actually ends up happening more is your decals. They will just get like a line going right through the decal of just where the pressure washer just blew it apart, okay? So I just cannot stress this enough. If you're gonna use a pressure washer, start with a wider nozzle, because most of them will come with nozzle kits. Start with a wider nozzle and start way back. And just whatever it takes to get the surface relatively clean is all you need. Just be extremely careful with this stuff because it will ruin your day. And that's the other thing, is if you're wearing flip-flops, by all means, don't. Because what'll happen is you'll be, spraying close to the tire or whatnot, and you'll hit your foot. I've peeled skin that way. Not fun. Yeah, for about a week, you're like walking in pain. So, especially when you're in a hurry. Okay. Now, again, like my dad used to say, a lot of this stuff is do what I say, not what I do. Because I'm out here in flip-flops today, but I've learned the hard way not to hit my feet with a pressure washer. I know, idiot. That's why I'm saying, just trying to extend this out to you guys. Just wear regular shoes. Steel toes are the best if you want to save your toes. But anyway, pressure washers are fantastic, and the reason I like them so much is because you can get such a wide area at once as opposed to just a hose, okay? That's really where pressure washers come in. If you got like really hard settled in stain, dirt, marks, etc., you're not gonna use or rely on a pressure washer for that kind of thing because you're gonna end up damaging your vehicle, okay? You're gonna use a microfiber towel for that stuff with soap in it that's wet. And certainly last but not least, on tires, pressure washers work really well. They will clean that hard settled in dirt. Again, you just want to be really careful how close you get, especially with a tire that's under pressure. I've never seen them blow from a pressure washer, but anything's possible. Believe it or not, I like to keep the suds to a minimum because I can always just, lather them up with the mitts or with the brush. But what ends up happening that way is you end up getting more water in the bucket and you don't run out as fast. Yeah. Shoot. Okay. I gotta get some gas. This is where these mitts come in really, really handy. I hardly ever put them on my hand, but you can get in like all these nooks and crannies better than with a brush that's just scraping the top. So, highly recommend one of these if you don't already have one. It's amazing where dirt goes. That's it for a lot of things in life though, huh? Just know, if you modified your rig out, it'll never look as good as it did the day you finished building it. Amazing how good of a job a pressure washer does on tires, but it doesn't suffice for one good scrubbing with the brush. So that's what I do. I just try to get them as best as I can before the armor all. Because I'll tell you what, you pay this much money for tires, not only do you want the function they're going to give you on the trail, which these do, these 40s are just absolutely amazing. I'll tell you what, kind of want them to look good. They're not cheap. So I just try to keep mine nice when I'm not abusing them. But ultimately, abuse is what they're meant for, because they're just phenomenal for getting over stuff, especially when you air down below 15 psi, and they just, you know, it's like driving on rubber dampers. Essentially, it's what you're doing. I had 37s on my other build, and I liked them. I thought 40s would just look too big, and I didn't see the advantage of having it until now. We'll see. It does make a pretty big difference.
I always do the down sun side, if you will, the side that's opposite of where the sun is coming in last. It's just because the water doesn't evaporate off that side as fast and give you spots if you don't keep it wet.
Okay, let me just show you a vital tool. And this is the air blower. It doesn't have to be a backpack blower. It helps because it's easier. But as long as you got something with just a ton of volume per minute, and then you just blow the truck dry, essentially, the stuff that's gonna drip, all of that stuff, you're just getting it off so that it doesn't form water spots. Man, it is a hot one out here today. I waited till today because like this week it was supposed to be cooler. It was supposed to be in the high 80s. Anyways, the Jeep is in a good place. I've completely washed and dried it. Now I'm gonna go in for sort of an exterior wipe down of just different places, etc. But one thing I wanted to show you guys is a really simple way to roll up the pressure hose portion of your pressure washers. So here's the deal. When you're trying to roll these hoses up, they don't always want to, you know, and then they end up kind of, and then you're kind of like shit, especially when they're pressurized. So just do this. Start way back. Just take the end of your nozzle, make sure there's no pressure in the hose in case it goes off, and just start whipping it around. Okay, totally simple. Gets it in a nice tight little ball, and boom. You're done. Thank me later. Okay, so it's time to do the tires, and so this is what I use to do that. This is called Armor All Tire Foam. You can get it pretty much any auto parts store. It foams up on top of the rubber, and then you just use any kind of an applicator to apply it. And this is what I like to use. It's just a broom brush that I used to use to wash the top of the Jeep. It works really well. So it's pretty simple. Just give it a good shake. Try to keep it away from the wheel if you're done washing the wheel. And then you just kind of go around the outside edge and then work your way in. You don't need a whole lot. Little goes a long way. And then you can use the brush to just smooth it out and apply it to the rest of the tire. Works pretty well. You end up with that super wet look, which I think is pretty cool. Okay, so day number 2 just got way too hot yesterday. It was about 100 degrees when I finished. That's why I was rushing most of the time. Anyway, today I'm gonna do the windows and the interior, and I'm fortunate enough to have a shop that I can do this in. It won't fit in the garage anymore, which I'm not sure is a bad thing, but I am fortunate enough to have a shop so I can just pull it right in, do the windows in the shade. You really don't want to do glass in direct sun. It will not only not clean well, it will most likely leave streaks. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Just do the glass inside and out, and a couple other things actually. I just take distilled vinegar and mix it with Windex, probably maybe a third vinegar, and then the rest is Windex. Do this at your own risk. It's probably not a bad thing if it gets on other surfaces, but you know, I don't know for sure. So if you do it, just be careful what you overspray onto. But on the glass, it seems to work really well. It seems to really fight against water spots. The other thing is I'm using different settings on the Osmo Pocket 3 today. I'm basically going all auto except for the white balance. Yesterday was completely manual with everything. So I was trying to do some of the color grading and post with yesterday's footage, and I don't know, it just didn't really seem like it was coming out all that well. I just couldn't get it consistent across the board, even using presets in Final Cut. So either way, just gonna try full auto mode. This camera was meant to just kind of be a run and gun camera, so I really don't want to be shooting myself in the foot by doing a bunch of custom settings and everything else. But that being said, the Osmo Pocket 3 is a phenomenal setup. If you're looking to just get into vlogging or video or whatever, check it out. It's definitely worth your time. All right, so dust has a way of getting itself into our rigs, and it's always a pain in the butt to try to clean out. If you use a wet rag, I've found that all it does is liquefy the dust and make a film. So what I started doing was going into the rig beforehand with some compressed air and blowing out the areas where it's gonna most likely be. And then what happens is that dust is just gonna settle most likely down into the carpet. And then that's why I vacuum last, and it seems to work pretty well. And then once I've gotten all the dust blown out, then I'll go in with the rag and really just kind of clean everything. Yeah, that's it. One other thing I found is that if you start using chemicals on the plastics or the leather or whatever, essentially you tend to get the forever effect, where when it dries, in order to get it back looking that way, you have to use that same chemical over again, as opposed to just clean fresh water, and it doesn't seem to leave that effect, if you know what I'm talking about. It may just be me. What I'm gonna do going forward on this rig is just use plain old clean water as long as I can before I start using chemicals on stuff. Once the whole inside is wiped down, then I just grab the vacuum and get to work on the carpets. This particular build also happens to have a sound system in it, and I wanted a total of 3 subs in the back. So in order to go camping and crawling and doing stuff like that where you need a lot of room or don't want stuff banging around, I decided a box was the only solution, plus just trying to fit woofers in the back of the JL. There was really no other way to do it, but they sound great. At this point, all I'm really going to do is just continue vacuuming out the inside. I'm going to do the back seat, and then I'll blow out the dash with some compressed air, and then I'll hit it with a rag, and then I'll just the same order again. I'm just going to start vacuuming in the front, and I'll scrub the mats, and then this thing is pretty much done. So yeah, that's about all that's left.
Hey guys, if you like the content of this video, if you could do me a favor and just please hit that subscribe button. It's in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. Also, if you hit the like button in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, those really help me out a lot. And the reason why is because the algorithm looks at that as feedback from the community as to whether or not they like the videos. And then it will continue to promote the channel that way. Otherwise, it doesn't promote it as much. And here's the problem. Only about 50% of the people that watch the videos are subscribed to the channel right now. So I'm trying to boost those numbers up a little bit. That gives YouTube the feedback to keep promoting the channel. And it gives me the
inspiration to keep making content for you guys, which I really appreciate when these videos take on average between about 5 and 8 hours to produce each. So it means a lot to me from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel, and we'll see you on the next one.